And we're back, everybody, at the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, and today we have some very special guests, which I'm excited about. This is the interview that we've been saving, especially for the back end, because we're very excited about who we have here. I get to join the panel a little bit today, but first we're going to introduce who we have. Pauline, CEO of the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, and Max, CEO, is your title, from Harbour Industrial Capital?
That's right.
Welcome. Welcome to Bali.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I specifically put on my Bali shirt today.
Yeah, you've done well. You've done very well. Just to get the ball rolling today, I guess what we might do is get you to maybe introduce yourself. You can say where you're from for those who haven't seen you before. It's probably quite hard to do at this stage, but for those who haven't seen you before, Max, maybe you can start and give us your background, what your role is, and what drawn you here to Bali at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. So I run Harbour Industrial Capital, a Polkadot-focused VC fund out of Hong Kong, together with Mario, my co-founder, who's also based there. Living in Hong Kong for a good 11 years now, and another 4 years in Shanghai. So I've been in this part of the world for a long time. Also Bali, not my first time, but in the past it was always for holidays, I guess. This time for the startups. So we're running two funds, two VC funds with a fund set up in the Cayman Islands. And the first fund is fully private LPs, so family offices from Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, Europe as well, fully raised and fully deployed. And now we have our second fund, which we just launched early this year, and where the Web3 Foundation also became the initial LP. So the first one to invest in this fund as an LP. And with this, we are actively investing in the Polkadot ecosystem. With the second fund, we made 4 investments so far. Mandala chain obviously being one of them. And by coincidence, I guess we didn't really plan it like that, but it happened that way. 4 out of 4 of these investments are all affiliated with the PBA in one way or another. So what I mean is, like, at least one co-founder has been graduating from the PBA. So yeah, we can go more into details about that, but that's kind of the high-level overview.
Beautiful. We've got a lot to unpack, and I'm very excited to drill down on what's coming next as well. But we'll move to Pauline. Maybe you can give us the backstory for those who don't know you.
Sure, happy to. I'm Pauline, co-founder and CEO of the PBA. I was born in France, raised in France, and then lived in Europe. Went to San Francisco in the Silicon Valley for a couple of years, then moved to Tel Aviv and lived there. I've been living there and now living in Bali for a couple of months and very excited about it.
We're excited that people are getting drawn in. We're going to migrate as much of the Polkadot ecosystem as we can.
Definitely. We can feel it. The energy in Bali and the overall ecosystem here is amazing and an amazing fit for the PBA. The PBA team is globally distributed. We have presence in Europe, in the US, and now building our presence here as well. And again, extremely excited to be doing more of the PBA activities in Bali.
No, thank you. I'll join in this party. And so what brings me here is, so I'm Michael from Republik Labs. What we're probably more well known for in the Polkadot ecosystem is that I'm also one of the co-founders of Mandala chain, which is an soon to be launched mainnet inside the Polkadot ecosystem. We won a parachain slot at the beginning of last year, thanks to the help of Harbour Industrial Capital. And we're very excited to be able to get to mainnet shortly. The backstory is that we are incubated initially because of the Polkadot Blockchain Academy. We came out of Bali, and my co-founder Ante is Balinese. He's an alumni of the Polkadot Blockchain Academy. And Republik Labs is one of the largest blockchain media outlets here in Indonesia, research and media. And so together we came together and realized, what can we do inside the ecosystem? And all roads led to the PBA and then eventually to Harbour Industrial Capital. I guess just to kind of expand on this alliance that we all have, because it's almost like we're all at the same party but on opposite sides of the room. Max, maybe you could explain a little bit what role you're looking to achieve here at the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, what involvement you're hoping to have, and maybe you can expand a little bit more about what you have done and what you're trying to do right now.
Yeah. So with our fund, we're looking to invest in early stage founders in the Polkadot ecosystem, right? That's it in a nutshell. And now quite obviously, one of the best sources for meeting and connecting with these kind of founders is through the PBA, right? Because that's literally what the PBA is doing, teaching people about Polkadot, both from a technical perspective, but then also more from a commercial, from a company setup, incorporation kind of perspective. And so I guess this sort of partnership formed rather naturally, right? Not because anyone is forcing us together here, but more because we want to get access to the best founders in Polkadot, and we want to be the first ones to get to know them, right? So we're very much thinking of ourselves as an early stage investment vehicle. We're doing seed or pre-seed investments. Oftentimes we're investing at a stage where the team is just in the process of meeting each other, right? Of ideation, of company formation, right? So we're not afraid of being the first check through the door. As a matter of fact, we've done that for multiple of our investments already. Once we do that, we help them to connect with other investors, which, I think we also have a pretty good track record of now already, right? Us investing first, right? And by doing that to a certain extent, vouching that this is a solid business, and then making introductions to other investors that also come in maybe at a later stage, maybe at a higher valuation, right? That's obviously what we want to achieve here. But we like to be early, and with the PBA, right, where a lot of good founders are being educated and coming out of it, it's kind of a natural fit to just be here and get to know the people and invest whenever it makes sense. Now, one more sentence about Bali. Being here for 1 month is a very different experience than just coming for one pitch day, right? I know other VCs are here for a much shorter period of time, which is fine. I'm sure they have other things to do as well. But for us, this is really a feature here that we get to spend 3 weeks, a full month with the founders, getting to know them. I've been sitting down here over the last couple of days or the last couple of weeks on a one-on-one basis with, I think, already 20, 30 people, right? Each of them, spending half an hour talking about their business idea, filtering through it. Of course, not everybody is ready to receive investments from us at the moment, but of course, many of them are. And I think it's just important to take the time to actually sit down with them, understand what they're doing, and then make an informed decision.
Yeah, I think it's amazing what you do, and it's an essential cog in the wheel, because ultimately no one's going to get anywhere unless they can actually finance their operation and get something off the ground, almost like the rocket fuel to launch the rocket, essentially. Pauline, you're involved in constructing that rocket. What's the mission of the PBA? What sort of student, what sort of conglomerate, what sort of projects are you hoping to spin out of the PBA, and what tools does the PBA give those students?
We're the biggest producer of talents in the Polkadot ecosystem. We are striving to set up a level of academic excellence that will help us define what is a standard of blockchain education. We started by having a very focused academic program for developers, especially at core developer level. And then we saw that the Polkadot ecosystem needed more support for protocol developer, dApps developer, ecosystem agent. Lately, we also invested more resources in training builders and founders, technical and non-technical founders, supporting them in acquiring the tools and skills they needed, but also the strategic contacts that they needed to grow post-PBA and forge the relationship that they needed to be successful in our ecosystem. We've also invested more resources with the support of OpenGov, obviously, in setting up a training for policymakers and decision makers trying to expand. And again, Bali is the perfect test bed for that. Trying to make our content and education around what's the potential of Web3 and blockchain available to not only to all those that are involved in making Web3, in helping the mass adoption of Polkadot and the broader blockchain ecosystem.
Yeah, I've actually noticed a common trend at the moment in that a lot of people who come to the PBA, they either join together to create a project or they end up joining one of the existing ecosystems. So it's not just creating new projects. It's actually the lifeblood of a lot of the existing ecosystem. I know that Mandala, like our project now, is nearly 2.5 years old. And we've now had well over 5 or 6 different people who have worked at Mandala come through the PBA as well. So it's like a constant vehicle that continues to upskill the entire ecosystem. I guess coming from a project founder's position, I know that we obviously couldn't be here without the support of either of you and the broader Polkadot ecosystem. Max, I'll throw it to you. Like, what do you see is the next path here inside Polkadot and venture investing in startups? Obviously, we want to be attracting the best talent and the best projects. Where do you want to see this go? Where do you want to see this ecosystem go as far as investable applications and attracting talent?
Yeah. So especially now that Polkadot Hub is about to roll out, I think we're going to see a proliferation of new apps or dApps like building on Polkadot Hub specifically. And that's really what we want, right? With Hub, we want like a Cambrian explosion of new like projects coming and deploying fast on Polkadot. Now, at the end of the day, all of these, even though it's going to be very easy to deploy on Hub, but these guys are still going to need money in one way or another, right? And at the moment, at the current sort of status quo, a lot of them are kind of coming to the treasury and asking for a grant, right? They say, oh, I've got this great idea to build ABC, right? Polkadot, can you give me, 50 grand, 100 grand, and I'm going to go and build it, right? But this logic always felt a little bit odd to me, to be honest, because there wasn't really like sort of a direct like equity exchange involved here. Mainly because this mechanism didn't really exist, right? The way Treasury works is it's all grants-based, right? So you give it, maybe there's some milestones, then you further capital is released, but there isn't any direct return on investment, right? The only kind of guarantee, so to speak, is building on Polkadot. But that in itself, in my opinion, is not actually that much. It should be more because many of them are commercially viable products. And therefore, I think, the Treasury or whoever provides the funding should also receive an equity stake. I mean, that's kind of the normal thing, right, that happens in, kind of any investment. Especially in venture investment, right? Of course, not 100% of the startups are going to be successful, but it's, kind of this kind of normal distribution kind of curve where you have a few guys, doing really well, some guys, going out of business after like a few months or a year. But, by running a fund, right, you usually have like some, extremely successful companies. We obviously hope that Mandala chain is going to be one of them, right? Next unicorn, right? I think that's, very much feasible here. But I think it's important to have this equity relationship, right? Rather than handing out grants. And I think this is also the direction that we're seeing at the moment already. And it's also in the interest of the projects, right? Because as soon as they get an investment rather than a grant, they automatically also get like a valuation, right? And if they then go out and raise from external VCs, then, they can say, oh, well, we raised at a $5 million valuation, at a $10 million valuation already in the past. Now we want 15, right? But sort of getting onto this cap table for the first time is actually quite difficult for startups, right? If they don't really like have anyone who believes in them early stage, like the first step is always the hardest, right? Once you're on a trajectory of fundraising, going then from 5 to 10 to 15, that's, you already get the traction. But we kind of want to be the ones who make it possible for the first time, right? To raise capital, not getting a grant, getting institutional, giving up equity, right? Having Polkadot, and, with our fund, we're representing Polkadot and the Web3 Foundation, having them or us on the cap table, that's a very powerful signal, right? Because it also shows you, we believe in you guys, we trust you guys. To a certain extent, it's an endorsement with which they can then go out and raise from external VCs. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, more investments and less grants.
I think it's an essential cog, and having gone through this process recently, the first thing that people ask is who is already invested in you. And it's almost like no one wants to be first in the door. So to have somebody with the courage to actually be that support network for a project, to actually show that they do have that initial backer that can actually sort of exactly what you say, get them on the cap table. It's an essential cog. And it's almost like the chicken and the egg. No one wants to be the chicken, everyone wants to be the egg in the VC world. So the fact that we've got you in the ecosystem is very, very helpful, and we're very lucky to have you. So thank you for what you're doing, not just from a Mandala perspective, but also from the broader Polkadot ecosystem. I guess, Pauline, where do you see the evolution of the Polkadot Blockchain Academy from here? We've seen obviously what Max is trying to achieve and making investable projects and helping them to get launched. What's your vision here? Where would you like it to go over the next 12 months and on into the future?
That's a big question. It's actually very aligned with what Max was saying. We hope to be able to support more successful projects like Mandala Chain and contribute to the Polkadot ecosystem by bringing new builders, supporting them, giving them obviously their fundamental education, their technical education, the place to hire, and the community that they need to grow their mentorship, to grow their hiring pool, to find their co-founders sometimes, and to have access to strategic support. We're very proud of the PBA project that were certified and graduated from the ecosystem. Very proud of how they are building and impacting the Polkadot community and how they're going to drive even more adoption. This is something that we want to continue drilling on by having, as we have now in this wave, our startup sessions where builders are selected builders. Unfortunately, we couldn't invite everyone from all our creative minds in this cohort, too many of them. But selected founders were invited to receive mentorship from contributors and strategic voices, technical and financial voices in the ecosystem, then a selected group. A few of them will be invited to present at the pitch day with our esteemed judges. Hopefully some of them will get a success story to tell about investment on the spot at PBA and growing and continuing to build. Just hoping that I'm predicting a little bit the outcome here. So that's something that definitely the PBA is growing into, developing more content for the technical builders and the leaders of the project to really make sure that we have demand for core time in the future. And what better way than having projects building on Polkadot and driving mass adoption.
Yeah, you've hit a very interesting point because Polkadot is at almost like an evolutionary time in its history. It's now considered to be quite a mature project. And when you look at like a founder, they've got a lot of options of where they can go and build. And there's a lot of established blockchains. Traditionally, Polkadot's like value proposition was that it was going to be this interoperability play, that you could be an interoperable blockchain. You could connect to a broader ecosystem with shared security. But now Polkadot's tech has become so resilient, and that model is kind of morphed a little bit that now people can build on Polkadot. Before it would have to be you come to the ecosystem and build a chain. Not anymore. Now you can actually go and deploy directly on Polkadot Hub, or you will be able to very, very shortly. And this is a bit of a game changer because we've seen the technology itself has been able to scale in throughput levels that are not seen in our industry with the spamming that we did on Kusama. I think it was like 142,000 TPS or something like that. Numbers that we haven't seen anywhere else, especially from blockchains that had been bragging about their throughput, and we just, oh, by the way, we can dwarf that. So we are in a very, very unique situation where it's evolving, and I think a very good time to come and build in the ecosystem as well. You can go to Ethereum, become a layer 2, and be layer 2 number 15,000, and probably get no attention. Or you can come to an ecosystem where the whole point of the ecosystem is to be interoperable. And so from Mandala, we've already been able to team up with Kylix. We already have spoken to them. They're another Harbour Industrial Capital portfolio member.
That's right.
And a PBA.
And PBA graduate.
We've spoken with Hyperbridge. I know Hyperbridge has people here right now. We've been able to be interoperable with other some of the existing projects. We've spoken at length with the hydration team. We're looking forward to doing some things with some of the other more established projects inside our ecosystem, like Aventus, who have got a similar value proposition to Mandala. So it really is a family. And I think that that's the great part about building in an ecosystem where it's not competition, we're complementary to each other as we sort of build that broader Polkadot Hub thesis.
Let me maybe say like something in response here, and also specifically about Mandala chain here, right? So it was indeed like at the PBA in Hong Kong, right? When, well, you were not there yourself, but your other co-founder, Anta, was there, who's Indonesian. And, you know, I was at the PBA and I was talking to a lot of like different people, but somehow like he did stick out to me, both like for his sort of technically knowledge and understanding of the Polkadot blockchain, but then also for his connections here in Indonesia, right? And I think sort of the fact that we have like this, the policy makers here in a room today is a testament to that. I mean, these are some real like meaningful, like high level connections to the Indonesian government. And from our perspective, this was very attractive right from the beginning. We said like, okay, this guy not only has like the vision to do something big in Indonesia, but also has the resources. And with that, in many ways, I mean like the connections and like the access to the right people to pull it off, right? That's kind of what made Mandala chain very attractive. It's a very unique value proposition that you guys do with sort of focusing on one large country here and working with various government departments, focusing on identity first, right? I think this is kind of the right way to approach it, right? Identity is very central. It is kind of a bit of a national issue. So, you know, global identity is always a bit tricky. But here in this case, you guys focusing on Indonesia, working directly with the government. This really resonated because it's not like a copy of another DEX. It's not a copy of another NFT project. It's something genuine. It's something unique. And sort of when I saw that in Hong Kong, like 1.5 years ago, I immediately thought, okay, that's actually like a project that where I both like share like the vision here from a like philosophical and sort of a political alignment, but also I see like the potential economic return here, right? So this is a commercially sensible project that you guys are doing, right? And you're pulling it off. You've got the connections here. Super excited to be here in Bali, in your backyard, so to speak, and meeting all the people in person. Yeah, we're very excited to be on board and be on the cap table of Mandala.
Thank you very much, Max, and we appreciate the kind words. We're very excited what we're doing, and we do think we do bring something new. We're calling it RWUs, Real World Use Cases, and we would love to see this copy and pasted all over the world. And I think emerging markets will be the ones which will adopt the technology first. And so if we can be supportive and sort of take away a lot of the risk for them by bringing almost a ready-made product out the box that they can implement, well, it's probably the way that we get accelerated use case, and obviously the way that we can bring in more people into the ecosystem to be developers. Where can everybody find you? We'll probably drop you all of your socials and where they can find websites and inside the chat. But any last words of where people can find you and what you're going to be doing next here?
Harbourindustrial.com is our website. And, while we're here in Bali, I still very much welcome all the students who haven't spoken to me yet about their project to come and reach out. And obviously, like anyone else who's, watching this online and you're building something interesting on Polkadot, like do reach out to us. Our DMs are always open. Find us on X and, send us a DM. We're always interested in meeting these people as early as possible. And if you're building something on Polkadot and you haven't been to the PBA yet, then consider applying to the PBA.
Get a live peace course. Yes.
And at the end of it, there may very well be like an investment from Harbour Industrial Capital if you're building something exciting, something new, something commercially viable.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oi.
Thanks a lot. The best way is to be referred by a fellow panelist. So we're going to share the PBA website. If you're interested in starting your journey in the Polkadot ecosystem and maybe have the opportunity to meet with Max and receive support from Harbour Capital or become the future Mandala chain. If you're ready to start your education journey on Polkadot, we're starting actually an online program right after the PBA Wave 7 in Bali, PBA X. We are also, for those interested, always looking for partners to provide some real-life use cases for our students to work on and to advance their project before they become a full-form build a project and always looking for strategic partners to hope to find as vibrant ecosystem as this one for our next wave. And again, hoping that we're going to bring together many more builders and expand the Polkadot community.
Likewise. And for those who haven't yet, you want to come and engage inside our ecosystem, mandalachain.io. If you want to follow along our journey, and also Mandala Chain on X, or republiclabs.io if you're looking for some high quality research and you want to learn more about what the great things that all of these people do in the broader ecosystem. Max and Pauline, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
Thank you.